Hi, I'm Henry Monshine. I'm your education librarian, and today we're going to take a look at how to conduct a literature review for your doctoral dissertation. We're going to spend about 20 minutes today, and we're going to go over some of the key databases that are available to you, and we'll look at some advanced techniques for conducting your literature review. First of all, let's see why you need to conduct a literature review in the first place. What is a literature search? Well, a literature search is a well thought out and organized search for the most relevant literature published on a topic. A well-structured literature search is the most effective and efficient way to locate sound evidence on the subject you're researching. And the evidence that you'll be collecting can be found in books, journals, government documents, and the internet. But today we're going to focus mainly on the Pearson Library's subscription databases, where you'll be researching scholarly articles and research. So again, why perform a literature search? Performing a literature search will allow you to review existing critical opinions and theories on your subject. It'll help you identify current research findings on your topics, and it'll help you identify potential research methods or models that you can use. And finally, it'll help you identify gaps in your area of research. So let's go ahead and get started with a literature search. Let me just walk through the basics and show you how to get to the databases. When you're on the Cal Lutheran homepage, you can go to Academics, scroll down to Pearson Library, and this takes you to our library page. You can also access this through the portal when you sign in through MyCLU, and you've probably seen the library button as well. So from here, there are two ways to get to the databases. One is going through the research guides, or going directly to the databases link, and you'll find an alphabetical listing of databases, and you can go to the one database of your choice. I'll take you through the research guides first. There are a number of guides that will be useful to you. One is the Doctoral Studies Guide, and then you can also go to the Education Guide. Both of them will take you to the same databases. So I'm going to the Education Guide, and one advantage here is that you can see that I'm your contact, and this will provide you with my direct email and contact number if you need to reach out to me. From here, we're going to click on the Databases tab, and this will give you a listing of the most common databases useful for education-related research. We're going to start with Education Source. This is one of our EBSCOhost databases, so I'm going to sign in the portal. The advantage of going through the portal initially is that you can sign in and then you'll have access to all of our resources. Okay, so here we are on the search screen for Education Source. Well, I was thinking of different topics. Let's try the topic of classroom management of special education students. Let's say you're doing a dissertation on this topic and you need to go through the literature, see what's been written on this up to this point in time. So our databases work a lot like the Google search engine, but being that you're doctoral students, I want to introduce you to a more sophisticated way of searching. Rather than just doing keyword searches, which will work, it will bring up relevant information, but I want to direct you to our online thesaurus. And all of our databases, the EBSCOhost databases, have an online thesaurus. This will lead you to the vocabulary that they use in the database. So this will lead you to the subject terms for your topic. And let's just see how that works. So if we're interested in classroom management, under Browse, I'm just going to type that in, click the Browse button, and there is our topic. So I'm going to click on that, and this expands and it gives you what's called a scope note. It's just a brief definition of the topic. Make sure that you do have the right topic, and then it will give you some related topics. Classroom environment might be of interest. school discipline, and it tells you if it's a broader term or if it's a narrower term. Usually we want to go to the narrower terms rather than broader. Classroom management to me seems like it would be just fine, so I'm not going to click on any other terms. I'll just select classroom management and I'll click the add button. So you'll notice that the term comes up here in our search box, and now we can continue adding additional subjects. So we're interested in special education students. So what I could do here is look up special education, go ahead and browse for that term. So it does come up, and you can take a look at the scope note or the definition to see if this is the right topic. And again, you can see additional terms. Children with disabilities, education, that may be relevant. I may just go ahead and check that. You can see there are many terms for this topic, and it breaks it down to related topics and more specific terms. Exceptional children might be of interest, so I'll check that. And of course, I'm going to check off special education. So now, if I click the Add button, notice what it does. It adds the AND connector, and it adds special education or children with disabilities, education, or exceptional children. So this is our search. And the DE stands for descriptor. You don't have to worry about that. It just indicates that these are subject terms rather than keywords. So let's go ahead and run our search. And there are 215 results. The good thing about this is that we're in a specialized education database, and we're using the subject terms, so you can see that all the topics are going to be on the right subject. This is a lot better than using keywords or Googling using search terms. You can see that you get a nice result, not thousands of hits. One important thing that you should have is an account with EBSCO at this point. You might have one, but let me just walk you through the steps of setting up an account. The advantage is that as you look at the results, you can drop these into a folder and save them for later use. If you go up to the sign in link on the blue bar, if you have an account, you would just sign in. If you need to set one up, click on the create a new account and fill in the information here. Your name, email address, create a username. You can try your Cal Lutheran username, see if it works, or something else that you use. A password, and then save changes and you'll have your account. You can do this on your own time, but let me just sign in my account and show you how we would set up a folder. Okay, so I've signed in my account, and also look for your name. So it will have your name here, and that will indicate that you are signed into your EBSCOhost account. So we want to set up a folder for classroom management. So I will go to the link that says new and just call it classroom management. Okay, once you click save, you will see your folder show up at the end of your list. And you can have as many folders as you want. And that's the nice thing about this setup, is that you can create folders for all of your research. And for example, when you're doing a literature review or for a dissertation, you might set up separate folders for all of your subtopics. You might have a main folder for classroom management. You might have one for special education students. You may have several other folders for other subtopics that you might be researching. So now, as we can start looking at our research, but first of all, we might want to narrow this down a little bit. What you want to do first of all is select the date range, and you can see this goes back quite a ways. We may only want the last 10 years of relevant research, so you can select the sliding bar, and we can say 2005 to 2015. So that leaves us with 87 results here. And the other thing we want to do is make sure that we have the scholarly research. So you can go to the limit to and select scholarly or peer-reviewed articles. So that leaves us with 71 results. And now we're ready to browse through these. You'll see a magnifying glass, and this is a quick way to bring up the abstract of the article. So that will give you an opportunity to glance through the content of the article. And if you're interested in it, for example, this one might be of interest to us. Now you go to the folder next to it with a plus sign, click on it, select the folder that we just created, and you might have to scroll down the list. There it is. And then you'll see it turns yellow and a little page pops up. That means you've added this to your folder. Here's another article. This one's international, so I don't know if that's one I might want to include. But again, you can quickly browse the abstract, see if it's of interest. It might be, so I can just go to the folder and add it. So this is really the process of scrolling through your articles. So once you get a manageable set of articles, you might want to spend some time and go through them and see which one of these relate to your topic. And as you find them, you can add them. And now that let's say we've done this, we've gone through 71 articles in this search, and we selected the ones that are most pertinent, we can move on to and continue our search. The important thing with the literature search is that you don't want to just remain in one database. Because you're searching the literature, you might want to look at various databases. The EBSCOhost platform makes that very easy. What we're going to do is go to the link that says Choose Databases, and this will give you a menu of all the different databases you might select. Right now we're searching Education Source, and if we're done with that, we can uncheck it, and you'll notice there's the ERIC database, and there's also another database called Education Full Text. It's probably better to search each one individually, because what you'd want to do is kind of start your search over and go to the thesaurus, look up your subject terms, because each database will have slightly different subject terms. But just for simplicity, let's see what happens if we use the same term. So I'm just going to rerun the search in ERIC, and this comes up with quite a few articles. So it might be, again, better to really go through the steps of looking through their thesaurus, identifying the subject terms used in this database. ERIC is a much bigger database, so that explains why we have so many articles. But once again, we can begin narrowing down the date range. 2005, let's say. Then we could limit to the peer-reviewed literature. So we have 6,000, still quite a few. Now this is a good opportunity to look at some additional ways to expand the search. One of the things you might want to do, in fact I would recommend doing this, is looking for other literature reviews that other researchers have done. That may give you a good picture of what other researchers are discussing in their reviews. So what we could do is add literature review, and this has an autofill feature, and it will suggest other terms. I like this one here. We can select literature review or review of the literature or overview or systematic review or meta-analysis. So that covers it pretty well. So now when we run the search, it narrows it quite a bit, and we are going to focus on, again, review articles about special education and classroom management. And you can see some examples here. Sometimes the title will give you a clue that you are looking at a literature review that someone else has written. This one says a literature focus. This one says a meta-analysis. Here's one title that says a review of the literature. So these are all look very promising. And once again, we'll just spend some time to look at the abstracts and see if these are relevant to us. Okay, one thing that you'll notice too is that some of these don't have the full text article. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about, is how to find the full text. But let's continue our search first of all. So we've looked at Eric. Let's fast forward, pretend that we've added maybe some additional articles to our folder. In fact, I may just add some just to do that. And we may want to continue researching other databases, so that's what we'll do. Let me just add 2 just as an example. Okay. So let's say we've looked at the education databases. Now we may want to expand into the psychology literature. So one thing you could do again is go back to Choose Databases. We'll uncheck the ones that we've just seen. And we can go to the PsycInfo database. Click OK. And this time, let's start the search over. So I'm going to refresh it, start with new search, go to the thesaurus, and then we're going to look up the topics. So classroom management. That does look like the correct term in this database. It's always a good idea to check to make sure. They do have some other terms that might be useful for us. Classroom discipline, classroom behavior, even classroom behavior modification. So we can just check all these off. Again, add them to our search, and now we're going to look up our second topic, special education. And they do have a category for special education students. Let's just go to the broader one, special education. And okay, I thought that would show up here, but it doesn't. So I may want to go back and select special education students, because that looks a little more relevant. So we'll check that. And this time we're going to AND this. We're going to select AND. So there. So we have all of our terms related to classroom management and special education. Now we can run the search. 370 articles. So once again, we're going to narrow those down. Let's go to the last 10 years. Now one thing to keep in mind is you may want to go beyond 10 years, because sometimes what your goal is when you're doing a literature review is you do want to find some of the seminal articles in the field. And sometimes these may have been written decades ago. So by limiting yourself to the last 10 years, you may miss some of the seminal research. And we can talk about that separately at a different video, and see how we can look for seminal articles, because that would require another database that we do have. So for now, let's just focus on these databases. Okay, so we have 29 articles. And once again, you can look through these again and see if there's some that stand out for you. So as you can see, by going through these different databases, you're going to pick up different literature. Each of these databases will index their own set of journals. Now there is a lot of overlap, but again, now that we're in the psychology database, we'll probably be searching a lot of, again, psychology-related journals, as opposed to education journals. So that's why it's important to expand your research, so cast a wider net as you're doing your literature review. One nice feature that the PsycInfo database offers is under Advanced Search. You can click on Advanced Search, and there are different ways you can limit your research. If you go to the methodology box, there are 3 categories that I think will be really useful. And you'll see literature review. What you can do is hold the control key Control key down if you're using a PC. If you're a Mac user, it would be the Command key. So select Literature Review, Systematic Review, and then skip over one and select Meta-analysis. So those, again, are the three kinds of reviews that you can search. Now we'll click the search button again. We only have 7 articles, and the reason is because we didn't start out with that many. But so we're going to need to expand that a little bit. But definitely these may be very relevant to you. And you can see that you'll see a systematic evaluation. You get some keywords that will let you know that these are review articles. Here's one that's called a descriptive review. So if you wanted to grab all 7, there's a simple way to do that. You can go up to the option here that says Share, and then where it says Results 1 through 7, you click on that and click on your folder, and there it will just add all 7 articles. You can do that if you have a small set of articles. You don't have to do it individually. If you want to just save all, let's say you've got 30 articles, you can go screen by screen and just save those in your folder to review later. One thing that we might want to do, again, if we're doing a literature review, is we can go broader. So instead of looking at classroom management and special education, we might just take out special education and just look at what does the literature say in terms of classroom management. So I can just modify the search. I'm just going to erase part of it. So now we're going to focus on the classroom management piece, and notice that we have 219 articles. And we still, I believe we were still using the delimiter for literature review. Let's go back and take a look. Oh, I don't think we have to reset it. So again, if we select literature review, systematic review, meta-analysis one more time. So now we're going to find review articles about classroom management in general. And again, you may want to narrow those down to the peer-reviewed articles and a date range. Again, I'm just using 10 years just as an example, but you might want to go back further again to capture some of the seminal articles that may appear. One way to tell if you have a seminal article is if it's quoted a lot. Some of these other articles may quote one particular researcher or a paper that was written in the 1980s, and that would be a clue to you that that's an important piece of work that relates to the literature. So that is one clue. As you look at the references of these articles, you may see some that seem to cite the same articles, and that again will let you know that that might be important. So you might want to look for that article yourself, and one way to do that is you can search for the title and find that article and add it to your own research. So here we have 41 articles, and once again, if we wanted to save all these, you can just go to the share button, select on the results, click on your folder, and this will have several screens, so we can just click through the various screens and save those. Okay, couple things that we didn't touch on, let me get to those quickly. Full text. One thing, first of all, you don't want to do is limit your research to full text. You can do that by selecting the link to full text, but notice what happens. You're going to eliminate a lot of potential articles that may be important to your search. So you don't want to limit to full text, but if you do come across some that you definitely want to see or want to add to your research, but you don't see them, there are 2 ways to get them. One is click on the link that says check WorldCat for full text. This feature is called the link resolver. What it does, it will run a search through all of our other databases, and if it finds the full text article, you will see a page like this that will link you to it. So this particular article was found in our Springer link database. And now you can go to the download and pull up your PDF. Keep in mind, when you're using this feature, this will take you outside of the EBSCOhost platform. So it found this in a different platform. So you won't be able to save the full text of the article in your folder. But again, once you have this link, you can click on the link and it will lead you to that article. Let's try one more and see if we get lucky there. Let's say we're interested in this article. Okay, so it's going to search for it. Okay, this is still the previous one, I believe. Okay, here we go. So it looks like it found the full text in our Sage Journals collection, and there is the full text article for you. So again, we're in a different platform. So again, you need to look for the PDF, and I believe since you've got it right here, you can go through the steps of downloading it. So this looks very simple. Now let's say that you clicked on these links and it didn't lead to the full text. It will let you know that the source is not found. You have another option. The second link is an interlibrary loan form. So you can go ahead and click on that and it will bring up an order form. So you fill this out. You don't have to put your home address where it says address, just put down CLU or so, that's fine. But it's important to put down a cell number where they can reach you if they have questions, an email address, this is where your article will be emailed to, and your patron ID is your Cal Lutheran ID number. And of course you would select your status as a graduate student, click the submit button. So this request will go to the Interlibrary Loan Department of the library, and the staff there will order this article for you, and it will come to you as an email. So it's very convenient. One more thing you can actually do before you even order something through Interlibrary Loan is go to Google Scholar and search for the article there, and sometimes you may find it there. An easy way to do that is just copy the title of the article, put it in quotes, and search it in Google Scholar. Sometimes researchers will post the full text of their articles online because they want their work to be discovered. So always keep that as another option. But once again, if you don't find it on Google Scholar and it's something you need, you can order it using our online order form. One more database that I did want to point out for you is called the Sociindex. And once again, we're going to go to Choose Databases. And we've been in the PsycInfo database right now. We've looked at the education databases. One more you might try is Sociindex. This will cover social science literature. You'll pick up other disciplines like sociology, social psychology, social work, anthropology, some related disciplines. Again, I would advise you to go to the thesaurus, or in this case it's called the subject terms, look up your topics, but again, to save some time, I'm just going to run the topic we have, and I came up with 821 articles on classroom management. You may get a different perspective again when you're in the Sociindex. You get kind of a community perspective. It may look at after-school programs rather than the psychology of classroom management or educational techniques in the classroom. You're going to get a different perspective. And again, we can add special education to narrow that down. So I wanted to, again, go over with you some techniques, some approaches for performing your literature review. And I think you'll be very successful if you follow these steps. Again, to review, the best thing you can do is create an account in the EBSCOhost database so you can save these to a cloud. And once you save your articles, you can go to the folder button, go to the folder, and you'll see your articles are listed here. And here are the articles that I saved during our session. So this is very convenient. These are saved on the cloud, so you don't have to worry about these disappearing or accidentally getting erased. They're very secure. So that's one thing that you'd want to do, is set up your account. If you don't have one, create a folder for your topic, and as you do your research, save those into that specialized folder. Don't forget to expand to other disciplines, so make sure that you search the education databases, and then you may want to branch out to the PsycInfo database and the SocIndex. Now, one final detail I didn't mention is citations. If you click on the link for the article, you'll see some tools. One is Cite. This will give you a rudimentary APA citation. These aren't perfect by any ways, but if you're not using a tool like EndNote, for example, you might want to capture them this way. You can copy your APA citation, add them to a Word document, and save them that way. But keep in mind, these are not perfect. The most common problem here is the capitalization. These are not sentence style capitalization, so you would need to correct those. Okay, so I think we're done for this video. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, send me an email, give me a call, or although email is best, and I'll be happy to work with you individually on your literature review. In future videos, we'll look at some other sources for your literature review, and we can also look at other tools like the EndNote product. Thank you for tuning in, and good luck on your dissertation.